Welcome back to the Rewind. This is Paladin. This video will be the first ever MultiVersus video on the channel. I'm in love with this game, and as a fan of several of Warner's IPs, I want to talk about one IP in particular that to me is important to be done right. That is, of course, Ben 10. I'm a huge Ben 10 fan, and I understand it is a tall order for a character like this to be done correctly. So this is a Ben 10 concept that I made, and in my opinion, the direction I'd personally want to see Ben Tennyson taken. And with a little help from a few friends and a few other ideas and concepts I saw floating around the community, this concept was put together, and without further delay, let's jump into it. Starting, let's talk about Ben Tennyson himself. For his looks, we have to go with Omniverse Ben. He has the most potential out of all the versions of Ben, whether it's the selection of aliens, cosmetics, quips, fun taunts, and interactions. When it comes to Omniverse Ben, he's a headstrong fighter that's always ready for anything that comes at him. So the obvious classification for him is a support hybrid. Now, to quickly justify this for some of you who might be confused as to why I just said that, the main reason is the rest of his kit and how Ben operates. Ben Tennyson is this character that has an adaptive playstyle, whether it is due to the environment or the enemy he's facing. This being the case gives him the support role, and it made sense as his primary feature would be his transformations, these being his way to support and adapt to every battle. His transformations would play around with his passive ability, Omnitrix Timeout function. This passive gives Ben a resource meter. When the meter is full, he can hold his neutral special to pull up a dial around him that lets him select up to 4 aliens to transform into, draining his resource meter while transformed. When it's fully depleted, it forces a timeout function, transforming Ben back to himself and dealing little knockback to nearby enemies, giving him some breathing room. However, this is not the only way Ben can trigger a timeout function. He can also hold neutral special again while transformed as an alien to force a timeout back into Ben earlier. This stops the draining of the resource meter and starts the recharge process from where the meter left off. Once the resource meter is back to being full, he can then transform again. During this concept video, I'm going to focus on mainly specials, as they are more mechanically interesting part of a kit. Yes, basic attacks do offer a lot of combo potential, but in my honest opinion, basic attacks are easily covered by punches, kicks, and different forms of weaponry depending on the character. So while discussing this concept, I will try to keep things in a more open-minded environment to allow you, the viewer, to imagine this concept in a way that fits you. Now, while in human form, Ben would be pretty weak. His moveset wouldn't allow for much potential, as his power truly lies in his transformations. His specials would incorporate some of his character aspects seen throughout the series, like maybe his hoverboard. Up and maybe even side special would be Ben using his hoverboard to recover, cross distances, and deal damage. Continuing with his down special, he would have a smoothie that heals himself, but would build up freeze debuff, ultimately freezing Ben for prolonged use. Now that we've covered the general specials of Ben, let's get into his neutral special and his 4 transformations. Holding neutral special will pull up his Omnitrix dial. His dial will act like an aura around him that contains 4 inputs dedicated to each transformation: up, down, left, and right. To make things more user-friendly, let's also have these inputs be customizable in settings. Now, if we're going with Omniverse Ben, we got a lot to pick from. Over 50 aliens to narrow down into 4 options. For Ben's support fighting style, I decided that his transformations should belong to different classifications. This gives Ben his adaptability and support through his varying playstyles and his transformations. So which transformations did I pick? Well, out of all of his transformations, I had to go with Heatblast as his mage vertical, Diamondhead as his tank vertical, XLR8 as his assassin horizontal, and Forearms as his bruiser horizontal. I know some of you are thinking, why go with all the classic aliens, but Omniverse Ben? There are a lot of reasons. First, The classic aliens are easily recognizable and are distinguishable enough from each other to not get confused while also having a range for kit diversity. Heatblast and Diamondhead are some of the top rated aliens in Ben's roster. XLR8 doesn't have many speedy counterparts beside maybe Fast Track. And Forearms is just a pick that I use to try and keep continuity between the picks, especially since in every iteration of Ben 10, each of these characters has appeared from Classic to Omniverse to even Reboot with these 4 staple aliens of the franchise. I had to go with them. Moving on to their kits, if you have any questions or suggestions for the upcoming ideas, please put them in the comments below. When using Neutral Special, selecting up on the dial will turn you into Heatblast, a vertical mage that excels in projectiles and will be a primary source of recovery. I won't go into the basic attacks of their entire kits again to keep things rather short, but I will again touch on specials. For all transformations, Neutral Special is the Omnitrix Timeout and Transform functionality, meaning we only have to talk about up special, down special, and side special. Back to Heatblast, his side special is Pyro Ball. He charges up a fireball that bounces on the ground, applying the fire debuff if it hits an enemy. His up special is Rising Sun. He flies into the air with a jet propulsion, leaving a trail of fire below him. This move can be angled mid-flight. His down special is Magma Slam. He slams into the ground, damaging nearby opponents and leaves a pool of fire on the ground that deals damage to enemies. Ben's next transformation is XLR8. XLR8 is the horizontal assassin archetype in his roster. With fast moves but low kill power, he makes for deadly damage rack up and a flurry of combos. XLR8's side special is Quick Dash. XLR8 dashes in a direction, leaving behind an afterimage trail. Any enemies caught in his afterimage are thrown slightly into the air, dealing damage. His up special is Bicycle Kick. He leaps up slightly and does a quick bicycle kick. His down special is Vortex. He spins around, creating a vortex on the ground that reflects projectiles and throws enemies that get too close to it. This move gives your ally a speed boost for a second if they run past it. Ben's next hero is his horizontal bruiser archetype, Forearms. Forearms specializes in slow but deadly moves with slow output speed but insane reach and knockback, allowing him to pull off some crazy finishers, but be careful for that long recovery. Missing as Forearms can be punishing. Forearms' side special is Suplex. Forearms lunges forward, grabbing an opponent if possible. When grabbed, he performs a suplex, throwing them backwards. Forearms' up special is Tetraspin. Forearms rapidly spins with their arms outstretched, dealing multiple clothesline attacks. This move gains little vertical height but horizontal reach to help with recovery. This move also helps break armor. His down special is Counter. When used, he armors up for a quick second and can't move. If the armor is broken, the enemy who breaks it gets a maximum weakness debuff, and Forearm and his ally gain the Enrage buff. The final transformation in Ben's roster is Diamondhead. When holding down on the dial, you can select Ben's vertical tank archetype, Diamondhead. His up special is Crystal Cannon, launching himself upwards with a strong uppercut. While off stage, Diamondhead just lunges slightly upwards with an uppercut. His side special is Crystal Caltrops. Diamondhead fires 3 crystal spike projectiles on the ground in a row. These spikes linger for a while, and any enemy that comes in contact with them will take a bit of chip damage. His down special is Diamond Defense. He creates a fortified barrier in front of him. This barrier blocks all projectiles, and when standing near it, applies a temporary shield buff to him and his allies. That wraps up the rough ideas for Ben's moveset, so let's briefly talk about perk ideas. I saw a bit of really cool Ben 10 concept art by the user TheAwesomeAlan on Twitter, link in the description to the post. I highly suggest checking it out, but in his concepts, he had a rough idea for a Master Control perk for Ben, so I thought it would be cool to modify it to fit my concept. Master Control. While in alien form, Ben's neutral special, Timeout, is replaced with a transformation, allowing Ben to switch from one alien to the next freely. However, this forces Ben to use his entire resource meter until it's depleted, transforming him back to Ben and putting his ability meter on a full recharge mode. This perk changes Ben's transformation from managing a resource meter to using it as an all-in-one go to hopefully maximize your output before you return to a fragile state, that is Ben. Now that about covers my concept when it comes to Ben and his aliens and a rough idea for their kits. So let's break down the possibilities for cosmetics for Ben. Now, most of the alien images you've seen in the video were found on DeviantArt by the users RZGmon200 and Mr. Mustard. I'll leave a link to both their pages in the description as well. Now, when it comes to cosmetics for Omniverse Ben, he has a couple of different looks throughout the series, including his hoodie and t-shirt. You could even incorporate original series Ben and Alien Force Ben by having their watches and clothes on Omniverse Tennyson. These could also be furthered by giving the aliens their OG series and Alien Force designs as well, which would be pretty cool, especially with these examples for Diamondhead and Forearms. And what a better way to segment the cosmetics than with Albedo. Albedo being really just a color palette change for Ben and his aliens, from green with bright colors to red with desaturated colors. You could easily have Albedo cosmetics by modifying the color palette of different versions of regular Ben, making a ton of cool skins and Albedo variants. The next cosmetic idea comes from Omniverse's inner multiverse with Mad Ben, a version of Ben from a wasteland universe where he is a tyrant that rules over the town of Benwood, and in his appearances we get to see a lot of Mad style of aliens, especially Mad Diamondhead. Now imagine Heatblast, XLR8, and Forearms with versions in this Mad style. Let's also not forget Ben 23 with his blue versions of the aliens, and him having unique voice interactions would be pretty great. Finally, Ben 10K and Gwen 10 costumes. Having Ben 10K with his older aliens would be a fun touch, especially with the varying versions of Ben 10K. And Gwen 10 having her female alien counterparts would be a fun touch to use, especially with characters like Cake and Fiona for Jake and Finn. And with that being said, this finishes the video. There will be a few more videos coming to the channel soon, like a VHS video that is being worked on, so they won't always be MultiVersus content. But if you did enjoy this video and are interested in seeing more MultiVersus content from us, please leave a like and subscribe. Again, if you have any thoughts you'd like to share about this concept, leave a comment below. See you next time on The Rewind.